9/11 was a tragic attack on the United States of America, which is meanwhile shows how big powers can be vulnerable. But when it comes to the Afghanistan, I think the open of opportunity was been open to the people of Afghanistan. Since Afghanistan was been marginalized from 19th after collapse of Dr. Najib government, Afghanistan was born in the civil war, and of course with the Taliban get power in Afghanistan. I believe that 9/11 was a kind of attack that it's bring a kind of unity with the Afghan people. Finally, the world realized where's Afghanistan and how Afghans paid the price of Cold War, and after that, the war against terror. From my point of view, from my perspective, although the nature of attack was a tragedy, but the outcome of it for Afghanistan was completely different. If we compare today the educated women and men in Afghanistan to 20 years back, it's uncomparable. Today, Afghanistan was rising up when it comes to the opportunity, to the job, to the structure of government, to the economic growth, and of course, human resources, more professional. But 20 years back, it was hard even to communicate it with the world. No one understand what 9/11 gave to the Afghan except those like me who've been under rule of Taliban, as it is today, but that was a different time. Even at that time, we were not have our identity in the international community. While I was loved to talk with my mom and say, hey, mom, I'm safe. I have to cross border and go to Pakistan. And from there, I should make a call abroad. So that kind of marginalized countries suddenly face NATO troops, US troops, which is by the permission of United Nations Security Council, they came and they invaded Afghanistan. But meanwhile, it was also a historical mistake was being made in the last 20 years till now, which is we cannot ignore that. The cooperation of international community opened a totally and a completely new chapter for the people of Afghanistan. Besides, they were fighting in Afghanistan to secure their own homeland back home. And that was like a kind of opportunity for NATO troops and United States because they got a land for their training opportunity, a lab for their weapons to be used, and of course, to be a global power in the heart of Asia, which is geopolitically Afghanistan was and is important. But the way at the end they wrap up Afghanistan and they hand over it back to the Taliban, that's a big question. That is the people of America are happy that after spending $20 trillions of dollars, 20 years of time, lives and treasure, replacing Taliban back by Taliban? I think this is a big question that it needs to be answered. But when it comes to the situation of Afghans in the last 20 years, I think the achievement of Afghanistan, representing Afghanistan internationally and globally, from in the art sector, sports sector, the political sector, in the structure of government, I think that was amazing. None of other example we can bring to the world to show and to see them and to tell them this is different between living in a global world, and this is a different when being a marginalized country. We understand when the country was not being recognized, when the economic and sanction comes to the country, how people are suffering. But I hope we could find a solution to keep those values that internationally and locally Afghans and Afghanistan allies was been fighting for, and they put their life and treasure on it. So this is the time that I think for everyone to put their hands together, and at least for the sake of 35 million population, we just been victim of war and globally. When it comes to Cold War, Afghanistan was smashed as a sandwich between powers. When it comes to war against terror, that was Afghanistan was been on the front line. And I don't know for another economical war, war with China or other thing. For the third time, we should be paying the price. I think that's a little bit injustice, which is what's going on with Afghanistan at the moment. But overall, the tragedy for the United States of America, which is we pay deep condolences to them, and those lives as well, which is they was been lost in Afghanistan. Besides that, the window of opportunity was tremendous for Afghans.
It was
To be honest, from my point of view, a marginalized country with any single connection, even a telecommunication with the world inside of that country, it's hard to believe that such a kind of complicated attack can be organized or drawing the map from Afghanistan. Despite of course, a large number of Arabs after the collapse of Dr. Najib government, when the Mujahideen entered to Afghanistan, they came with. But we don't know who was Osama bin Laden at that time because, as I say, we've been a marginalized country. But I think United States had the power and the authority to fight against terror or to go and fight their own enemy in a different way. But probably at that time, the right decision, which is they made, it was that one. But one thing was been badly increased, Islamophobia. Because the action of those groups, which is they attack 9/11, their religion was Islam. And I think it hurt billions of Muslims globally. But when it comes to the real picture, is that really happened and organized from Afghanistan? It's a big question mark. Till yet, no one give the right answer. Because if Osama bin Laden was in Afghanistan, why he was been killed and targeted 10 years after in Pakistan? If Osama bin Laden was that much powerful, how possible to believe today his group, al-Qaeda, is on power? If they were yesterday a great threat, why today they become a good friend of United States, such as Taliban? I think there are lots of questions out there. But since we don't know yet exactly what happened that day, whom organized, and how they cooperate, how they linked with each other. When you put all these puzzles, they're not a complete picture. So let those pictures to be complicated. More investigations needed required, more information needed required, and honesty from the US politicians globally. If there was a mistake, they should accept. If there was not the right decision, so they should also say clearly to the people in the world. Because I believe 9/11 was not only have impact on United States of America, it impact as an identity for Muslim globally. When it comes to the economy, I think America and US partners are been engaged somehow and involved, and lots of other lives was being paid for that. You may not believe more than 100,000 lives just in Afghanistan in the last 20 years was being paid for war against terror. And today those terrorists can be their brother, can be their partner with the United States of America or not. This is a question. Who are the terrorists? Why this terrorist activity is going to be more powerful than states? Those states which is they believe they are the world #1 power. So when they got challenged, it's important to see how you can beat the challenge from different side, different perspective, and different way, with less cost, with less harm.